Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just talking about a blockbuster thriller. We're diving deep, unlocking the explosive ideas at its core, ideas that seriously shook the foundations of Western history.
And let's kick things off with this quote from Leonardo da Vinci himself. It perfectly sets the stage for a journey into a world of hidden meanings, secret societies, and a conspiracy that stretches back, get this, 2,000 years.
So think about that for a second. Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, is built entirely around this question. It suggests that Da Vinci wasn't just some genius artist. He was a master of deception who buried a truth in his art so shocking it could literally change everything. All right, so let's get into it. We're not going to focus on the car chases through Paris. No, we're starting with the ideas, the secrets that are supposedly hidden in plain sight, right there in the art. So first, the book paints this picture of Leonardo, right? And he's the perfect guy to hide a secret. He's taking all this money from the Vatican for these huge commissions, but at the same time, he's basically thumbing his nose at them, sneaking all these pagan and anti-church symbols into his supposedly Christian art. Wild, right? Okay, so you have this secret hidden in the art. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The book claims it points to something way, way bigger. An accusation that the version of Christianity we know today is basically a lie. This phrase is actually an anagram that shows up in the story, and it spells it all out. So dark, the con of man. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than that. The whole idea is that a bunch of powerful guys in the early church basically pulled off the biggest con in history to control what people believed. Okay, so this is the real bombshell. On the one hand, you have established Christianity. Jesus is divine, celibate, God. The Bible is the Word of God, simple. But the Da Vinci Code flips the script. It claims that originally, Jesus' followers saw him as a mortal prophet, a human being. And then, in the 4th century, this pagan emperor, Constantine, comes along. For purely political reasons, he decides to create a new, official Bible. And in the process, he allegedly burns all the other Gospels that talked about Jesus' humanity, and he beefs up the stories that make him seem divine. All to create a stronger, more male-dominated religion to control the masses. So, you might be asking, how could they pull off a con this big? Well, to get it, we have to talk about symbols. Ancient symbols that the book says are key to unlocking the whole thing. First up, we've got the blade. It's pretty straightforward, right? Pointy, aggressive. The book says this is one of the oldest symbols for the masculine. You know, a phallic symbol representing manhood. And then you have its exact opposite, the chalice. That classic V shape. It's a vessel. It receives. This, the book argues, is the ancient symbol for woman, for the womb, for what it calls the sacred feminine. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. The book's big claim, the Holy Grail was never a cup, that whole legend, it was a metaphor. The Grail is the chalice, the symbol of the sacred feminine. So the quest wasn't for an object, it was for a lost idea. So why was this idea lost? Well, the book says it wasn't an accident. It was more like a hostile takeover. To build up their power, the early male-dominated church had to tear down the old pagan religions where women and goddesses were revered. So they flipped the script. Woman, once the sacred giver of life, became the source of original sin. They literally demonized the feminine to consolidate power, throwing the whole world out of balance. Okay, but let's be real. A secret this big? For 2,000 years? How could anyone possibly keep that under wraps? Well, the book has an answer for that too. A very powerful, very secret society. Enter the Priory of Sion. Now, this is a real-life name you can look up, though the historical documents it's tied to turned out to be a pretty famous hoax. But in the universe of the Da Vinci Code, it's 100% real. A secret society founded way back in 1099 with one single mission: guard the truth of the Grail at all costs. And check out who was supposedly in charge of this thing. The list of Grand Masters reads like a greatest hits of history. We're talking Botticelli, Sir Isaac Newton, Victor Hugo, and of course, Leonardo da Vinci himself. The idea is that only the most brilliant minds could be trusted with a secret this dangerous. All right, so now we get to it. The grand finale. The secret's so huge that all these geniuses had to protect it for centuries. This is the big one. So let's put the pieces together. The Grail isn't a cup, it's the sacred feminine. What does that actually mean? What is the one secret that could bring 2,000 years of established religion crashing down? And here it is, the book's final shocking reveal. The Holy Grail is a person, a woman, specifically Mary Magdalene, the bearer of the royal bloodline of Jesus Christ. Let that sink in. This is the absolute heart of the conspiracy. The theory is that Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene, they had a child, and that bloodline, their descendants, are still alive today. The term Holy Grail, or Saint Grail, was a code for sang royal, which in Old French means royal blood. Wow. Okay, so the implications of that are just massive, right? It sets up this huge clash between history, or what the book claims is history, and the very nature of faith itself. And the book is smart about this. It doesn't just drop this bomb and walk away. Even the hero, Robert Langdon, struggles with it. He basically asks, look, even if all this is true, is it worth destroying a faith that gives millions of people hope and helps them live better lives? It's a tough question. And that's really the question the book leaves you with. Does faith need to be backed up by historical fact to be valid? Or does its true power come from the story itself, from its ability to inspire and guide people? It's a fascinating debate about where truth really lies.